So we're going to have a quick look at how the long-eared owlets are doing. We're just going into week 2. I think today is day 10 for the oldest bird, and day 3 for the youngest. I don't know if any of you are aware of the electricity disruption that went on yesterday. So we're kind of very lucky that they are alive. I'm still at odds to understand how they survived what was just a catastrophe, just something I hadn't planned for, and not having a generator. And yeah, they did really well. I'm really proud of them for surviving such trauma, really, because it was trauma. So I mean, these are kind of things that are sometimes outside of our control. Who would have thought that something would have crashed into electricity pylons and brought down the electricity in the middle of the night, and the brooder crashes and loses its heat. So miraculously, I'd love to know if any of you can explain how a bird's heart could have survived. I mean, they were ice cold and rigid when I found them at, I think it was 320 or that. When I realised rather that the electricity was gone, and I ran to check the brooder, and it was ice cold. So yeah, miracles, miracles, miracles. Let's have a look at them, and we will see how they are getting on. And here is number 1. There we go. I suppose I should really check and see what way my camera is. And it's not bad, I think. In the middle of all of the mayhem and craziness of the night before last, I literally just grabbed the brooder, left where I was in a different county, drove across to my old cottage, which thankfully I hadn't knocked the electricity off in last winter, and I was going to, but I didn't. I was sitting here in an empty house otherwise, with the brooder all night long. So I have a little bit of sleep deprivation after all that went on yesterday. I'm just really happy that they survived it, because I would have been riddled with guilt had I lost them in circumstances like that. I would have just been beside myself, without sounding too melodramatic, but it would have just been one of those awful circumstances that would probably have haunted me for. As I said, this is the first one. Now, he's a little bit clumsy looking here this morning. I have I'm using one of these what do you call these? It's like a sheep wool fleece. These are under over mattress sheet protectors, or I don't know what you call it, sheet warmers or something, mattress warmers. So he just hasn't got a great grip. But what I wanted to do, what I wanted you to see today, this is the oldest chick. He's 10 days old today. I don't know if the camera is focused good enough there on him, but you can see just how he has changed. Hello, look at. I know, look at that, you're eating my finger. He really has changed a lot in the last 48 hours. His eyes opened yesterday afternoon, actually, and in the middle, when he came around and his body temperature increased and he got back to himself. His eyes opened, which is, I don't know, I know this sounds a bit kind of corny, but it's always a lovely thing to experience when you see a new life kind of open their eyes for their first time, and they kind of take in this great big world that they're going to be a part of. And I think it's kind of a nice experience to witness, and maybe knowing that you're the first thing that they see. That sounds a bit narcissistic. I don't mean it like that, but you know what I mean. It's just, I don't know. It was kind of like just a special moment. But because he's 10 days old, why am I saying he? Why do I do that? That's the real kind of sexist thing to say. I don't like using it. Actually, funny enough, I don't know if this makes sense. I have a strange feeling this one is a female. I really don't have any skills at sexing birds visually. Some people are quite good actually at determining whether a chick is male or female from a very young age. But I imagine to myself that I notice already even changes or differences rather between them. And I have a feeling that this one might be female because the growth rate, even though she's 2 days older than the next one, the growth rate, it just looks like a bigger bird. And as we know, the females generally tend to be bigger. Now your legs are all over the place. That's one thing that we just need to be mindful of now from this stage, is to ensure that spraddle leg or spade leg doesn't develop. So I'm concentrating on, I'm using this container so that he will keep the legs closed, but at the moment he's generally just going to, actually maybe you might be better just on the thing altogether without having the tissue, because I think you might get a better grip. I will be putting him on AstroTurf this week because he is getting to the stage that he wants to kind of move around a lot more. I don't know if you can see the eyes open there. It's just lovely to see. And if you look really closely, if I'll just move him in there, if you just look at the face head on, you can almost see, I think that I can, but I could be kind of blinded with darkness now at this stage, but I imagine that I can see the indentations in the top of his head where the ear tufts will be. Actually, I'm not blinded, you can actually see them. Just kind of raised areas at the top of the head. So what I want to do today, as you know, the long-eared are a protected species under the EU regulations so with those regulations and adhering to them, the birds will be closed rung, and there's a closed rung, or closed ring, and then there will be accompanied with their, what we call here in Europe, the Article 10 paperwork. So that's part of the, as I said, the EU regulations around the conservation and protection and activities associated with these birds. So that's what I'm going to do today. I would have done this yesterday, but I really wanted to, yesterday was too traumatic for leg rings. Generally I think it's a good idea to get the ring on before the 10th day, because the foot or the claw grows really kind of significantly, and I hate to have to subject a little bird to unnecessary kind of distress and trauma of trying to force a ring sometimes if you just are not observant to how quickly the claw has grown, and using Vaseline and all these kind of things and just distressing the bird. So I'm hoping that this ring will slip on easily. I know, little fella, just give me your paw here now for a second. Give me your paw. Wow. Yep. So there we go. Actually, that was very, very straightforward. So the most important thing is to make sure that the ring is back over the very back nail talon as well. And there it is, and that ring will be on him for life. So it's kind of a, you know, it's a big event, it's a milestone. So as I said, in Europe here we use a size U. Actually I had to look it up, I wasn't fully sure. So the size U is the standard for the Barnells and various breeds like that, but the long-eared also. They also carry EU ring size. I think it's 9.5 millimeters, is it, or is it 7.5? So yeah, so actually it's really interesting to just witness the changes in him as they're happening this week particularly. The darker growth on its plumage or on the downrudder is beginning to change. You can see the brown and the greys beginning to kind of to push through at this stage. So it's lovely to see this actually, because they I said I haven't seen them before. So I think it was Liz that had a photograph up of her female long-eared owl when it was, or when the bird was a couple of weeks old, or yeah, a couple of weeks old, from 2 years ago, or from, was it last year I think, and I didn't even recognize it when I saw the picture first, but I thought it looked more like a Bengal, would you believe? So I'm kind of looking forward to see how they're going to change over the next week or two, particularly. But this chick is doing fantastically well. He's just a pleasure. I fed him earlier on, so he's actually eating very, very well. Beginning to add a little bit of roughage now at this stage to strengthen the legs, a little bit of calcium. But yeah, he's doing fantastically well. Not bringing up any pellets yet, but the meat has been predominantly pretty much all just very soft pinky meat. So I'm hoping that the roughage will begin to stimulate the digestive system, and I would like to see a pellet come up now fairly soon at this stage. But yeah, very happy with him. And just while I'm here and while I'm on camera, as to say, we'll have a quick look at the other two. Don't know if I was telling you that, and I was telling you that chick number 2 unfortunately did not make it, which is just really sad, beyond our control. Sometimes it was just one of those cases that it was a chick that possibly wouldn't have survived anyway. My hunches on day 1 were correct. He was quite listless and lethargic and feeding, whereas I kind of was trying to convince myself that he was doing well. I had a doubt. I had a hunch that he was different to chick number 1, and that hunch was correct. He faded away quite quickly the following day. Just wouldn't eat at all. Just wasn't seemed to be able to. He wasn't interested in food, and he had no fight in him. Just look at it. It's sad to see, but as I said, I would imagine that in nature, when birds in nature meet situations like this, they would eliminate a delicate chick, or not eliminate. Well, yeah, eliminate, but I suppose they wouldn't invest their energy and their time and their devotion to it and concentrate. No eating your sibling, please. Thank you very much. We won't be having that. The second chick here was born. This was hatch number 3, so he was born. I think it was three days after the first one. Actually, he's a really, really bonny little fella. He's a completely different temperament, and he's much more alert. Not alert. He's much more. He's kind of full of devilment, this little one. He's got a cheekier personality. He's much more forward. That's why I have a feeling that this one is a male, but look at maybe I'll get some DNA sexed later on, but it doesn't make any difference whether they're male or female. I just have a feeling though that he is. Now, he was only fed about an hour ago, and he's kind of good to go again. Oh, look at you. But his claws are just not big enough yet for the ring, so I won't go putting it on him today. I'll leave it maybe tomorrow, the next day. What day is today? Wednesday, so maybe Friday I get his ring on. But even his dark plumage is beginning to come through as well. And I'll just show you quickly when I'm here. I know you're following my voice, aren't you? Are you following my voice? I still have my Chinese bowl. Oops. Yeah, I don't know what that was used for. I think it's a soup bowl or something. Anyway, never mind. This is the last little fella that was born on Sunday. You have no idea how much of a difference there is in a couple of days, because this little guy, just look at him. Hello, he's like tiny. He is just hard work at the moment, and of course they all were hard work for the first couple of days. But when the other ones are a week old and they're doing so well and they're so active and so responsive, little fella at day 2 is really demanding. I would not be able to cope if I had a lot of kids. That's not why I'm divorced, by the way. But no, I don't mean that. Yes, I do. No, I don't. So yeah, so there's the last fella. He was a really slow hatch. Actually, it took him the best part of 3 days to get out of that egg. I was like, come on already. I really had a doubt. I thought he wasn't going to make it. I thought he hadn't enough strength to crack the egg through. But he was slow enough for the first day. I would like to see this guy past the 7 days. Now he is eating for me. I'm not suggesting that there's a similarity to the fatal chick, but he definitely was slow enough. Now he did feed well for me this morning, and he is beginning to get responsive or calling, which is a good sign that he was actually calling for food during the night when I got up. But I think it's probably because I'm just comparing him to the other two at the moment, and as I said, you just can forget very quickly how vulnerable and weak they are for the first couple of days, and how much attention they need. I have no idea how this little one survived the brutal crashing its temperature. I cannot understand it. He was the last one to move after about 3 hours after I got the heat back up. So I'm really proud of him. I'm really proud that they all lived. I'm particularly proud of that little one. So there we go. I'm not going to feed me now again because I have got some things to do for an hour or two, and there we go. So that's it. As I said, they doing really well. 3 chicks, all going well. I'm going to just put a little bit more fed into that one, and we will pop back again next week, and we'll have a look and see how they are at week 3. Okay, that's it.